Hello, welcome to today's lesson on Law of Sine. So Law of Sine is used to calculate side lengths and angle measures in any triangle. And if you remember back to geometry class, we talked about triangle congruence a lot. And we had 5 different ways to prove that triangles were congruent. You either saw like a side-side-side relationship, side angle side, hypotenuse leg. There's 5 different variations. So something similar here, whenever you have that angle side or angle side angle relationship, you can use law of sine to figure out all the side lengths and angle measures. So something also to remember is that all the angles in a triangle are going to sum to 180 degrees. And this law of sine will work on any triangle. So everything that we've done so far in trigonometry has been in regards to right triangles. This is the first time we get to see an obtuse triangle or an acute triangle, and you get to figure out from there what the missing side lengths and angle measures are. So without further ado, let's take a look at our first example here, where we're asked to solve for missing side lengths again and angle measures. So like before, we talked about that all the angles of a triangle will sum to 180 degrees. So if we're looking at a 36-degree angle and a 48-degree angle, let's do the easy stuff first. Let's solve for our angle C. So we have 180 degrees total in a triangle. Subtract from that, angle A is 36 degrees, angle B is 48 degrees. So angle C we know is going to be 96 degrees. So 96 degrees. Perfect. So from there, let's take a look now at our side lengths. For this, we need to actually use our law of sine, which is written down below here. So law of sine is just about ratios. We know that there's a ratio between the sine of an angle and the length of its opposite side. So the uppercase A, B, and C represent the angles A, B, and C that you see in the diagram. The lowercase a, B, and C represents the opposite side to that angle. So if I'm looking at an uppercase angle A here, directly opposite from that will be lowercase a. If I'm looking at uppercase B, directly opposite from that will be lowercase b. Angle C, directly opposite from that will be lowercase c. So let's fill in anything that we know so far. We know sine, so angle A is 36 degrees. And we know the side opposite from 36 degrees has a length of 8. Sine of B, we know is 48 degrees. So let's throw that in there. 48 degrees over lowercase b. We don't know that side. We'll have to figure that one out. And then sine of 96 degrees over c. We don't know that one as well. So we have 2 that we need to solve for here. We need to solve for the side length b and the side length of c. So we have some options here. We're really going to look at 2 ratios at a time and solve for the missing information. So the first ratio that I'm going to set up here is going to compare the sine of 36 over 8 to the sine of 48 over b. Second ratio, I'm going to use the same sine of 36 over 8, but now I'm going to set that equal to the sine of 96 over c. Okay, I want to use the sine of 36 over 8 because those are the side lengths and angle measures that I was given in the original question. Yeah, I can use the sine of 48 over b once I figure out what b is and use that to figure out what c is. But what if I made a mistake on b? Then I'm going to carry that mistake over to solving then for c. So at least even now, if I make a mistake on b, I still have a possibility of getting c correct. So that's why I always use whatever is given to me first, just to be safe. From here, this is just a cross multiply and divide. So if I use this first ratio here, sure, let's cross multiply. So I end up with sine of 48 times 8 is equal to b times the sine of 36. So in my calculator, if I take, in my calculator, if I take 8 times the sine of 48, enter, and divide that answer by the sine of 36, I get that b here has a length of 10.11. So b is about 10.11. All right, let's do something similar now to solve for C. So again, I'm going to cross multiply. So 8 times the sine of 96 is equal to C times the sine of 36. So again, in my calculator, let me clear out what I had. If I'm looking at the sine of 36, let's move this over. Let's see, if I'm looking at 8 times the sine of 96 equals, and divide that by the sine of 48, sine of 36, enter, I get that C here is about 13.54. Let's see, 13.54 units. All right, so let's take a minute. Let's go back up to our diagram. I want to put in the numbers that I just determined. So like we learned that this one is about 10.11. We learned that C is about 13.54. And now I'm going to use something that we learned back in geometry to just make sure, do my answers make sense, right? We learned in geometry class that there is definitely a relationship between the longest side of a triangle being opposite from the longest angle. The smallest side is opposite from the smallest angle. We have these triangle inequalities. So all I want to know here is my smallest angle is the 36 degrees, which means that the smallest side should be directly opposite from it. And out of our side length, yes, 8 is the smallest. Okay, our medium side length is 48 degrees. If we look opposite from it, 10.11, is that our medium side length? Yes, it is. Same idea with this largest angle measure is 96 degrees, which is opposite from the largest side. So at least our side lengths make sense. So that's kind of a check for yourself right there. Largest side should be opposite from the largest angle, and smallest side should be opposite from the smallest angle. Let's take a minute here. Let's look down at the second example. Again, we want to solve for all missing side lengths and angle measures. So if you want to pause the video now and try this one on your own, go right ahead. Keep in mind we have our law of sine. I can write that up at the top for you if you need to reference it. So it's going to be sine of A over A equals sine of B over B, which is equal to sine of angle C over C. So like I said, if you want to pause the video, go right ahead and do it. I'm going to head right into the problem right now. So I know that A is going to be 81 units long. Here's going to be my side C, and here's going to be my side B, directly opposite from their corresponding angles. So if I start filling into my formula here, I'm going to have sine of A, so sine of 29, over the opposite side, which is 81, is equal to the sine of B. I didn't figure that one out, but I know I can. I know I have two angles, and I could figure out the last one. So 180 degrees, subtract my 119, subtract my 29, gives me the measure of angle B at 32 degrees. Oops. 32 degrees. Okay, so sine of 32 degrees over B, which has to be equal to the sine of 119 degrees over C. So again, I'm going to set this up as two different ratios that I can cross multiply and divide. Let's take a look at B first. And then separately, so you make yourself a little line, sine of 29 over 81 is going to be equal to the sine of 119 over C. All right, so again, when we cross multiply these guys together first. So I get 81 times the sine of 32 is equal to B times the sine of 29. So B is going to be about, let's see, let me clear this out. I need 81 times the sine of 32, and then I need to divide that answer by the sine of 29. So I get about 88.54. units. All right, so let's take a look then at our other one. Same concept. I'm going to cross multiply. So 81 times the sine of 119 degrees is equal to C times the sine of 29 degrees. So C is going to be approximately, let's see, 81 times the sine of 119 degrees. And then we're going to divide that by, let's see, I can't see the number over there. Sine of 29. All right, so let's see, sine of 29, enter. So that's about 146.13. 146, okay. 146.13. So the problem is technically done at this point, but I like to do the little bit of a check at the end. It's worth it. Side B is 88.14, I believe. 54. Whoops. 88.54. Let's see. It's my eraser. 88.54. All right. And then C is 146.13. So just do one final check. Is the smallest side length opposite from the smallest angle? Yes, it is. Is the largest side length opposite from the largest angle? Yes, it is. So that's your check. You know you did it correctly. Congratulations. You just went through 2 examples of the law of sine. Not that bad, right? It's all about ratios.